Hey, what's up guys? It's Josh here at Porter Valley Ranch. Today is Friday, January the 6th. And that's right, our Christmas tree is still up. If you're wondering why our Christmas tree is still up, it's because number one, we've been a little bit busy, and number two, we're just not ready to let it go. Christmas is a wonderful time of the year. It makes our family come together, makes our family slow down a little bit. It's just one of those seasons that we're not quite ready to let go of yet. So we're gonna leave our tree up for just a few more days. Speaking of things we're not ready to let go of right now, it's our YouTube channel. I know we've been gone for a while, we haven't been very consistent, but we see the value in what we can bring to you and what you can bring to us. So 2023, we're gonna get after it. If you're new to our channel, on Fridays we do something called Farm Fridays. It's where I take you around our farm, show you what we've got, show you the animals, tell you what's happened with all the animals, and I think that's a great way to start the year, so let's get into it. This is our dog Buddy. Buddy is an Akbash. He's a great dog. He keeps things safe here at the farm. He's also a little bit crazy sometimes. So if you see the camera moving around or like you see me fall over or something, it's probably because Buddy ran into me. All right, coming up the hill, you see Rachel's garden. Gardens are not great in the winter, but this is it. We're really excited about our spring and summer gardening season. We built this thing all ourselves. You can see we used all the logs. We got the raised beds, the in-ground beds, all that stuff. Rachel's been working really hard preparing for the gardening season, picking out plants, interviewing people. She's got a really cool article coming out next month in Hobby Farm Magazine. You'll be hearing more about that, but we're really excited about it. One of the projects I've been doing is this compost pile. So if you're into gardening, you know that compost is necessary. It's also expensive. So this mixture here of hay and manure and organic matter is basically like powdered gold. So I've been working on that. That was one of my New Year's projects. Did it on one of my days off. Coming over here to the barn, you see the sheep. They're making noise. They're ready for some food. We'll come back to them in just a second. We're gonna go check on the chickens. So we're heading into the chicken barn. I've got the ER here, the urgent care. I guess you could call it the ICU, the intensive care unit. So Reese is one of our lambs who was a bummer lamb. Her mom rejected her. We had to bottle raise her. And whenever you bottle raise an animal, they just aren't that healthy most of the time. So we've kind of nursed her along. We've had a couple scares. She's kind of like a cat. She's on her 9th life is what I always say. But whenever it got really cold a few weeks ago, it dropped down below freezing, actually got down to single digits for a couple days, and Reese here actually got hypothermia. So all her vitals and everything were just really down, and so we've got her in here. She is getting nursed back to health. We've got her packed in with hay, so when it gets cold, and then a couple times a day we come up here and we just take care of her. I've been giving her some added nutrition, things like that, some vitamins, and then getting her out and walking her around a little bit. But she's just not really strong enough to stand up and walk around on her own right now. So she is kind of my project. I'm hoping that she can get strong enough just to take care of herself. But I'm really concerned because she seems to have just chronic illness, chronic fatigue and weakness. So just been working with her, doing a lot of research, trying to figure that out. So keep an eye on that, and hopefully we'll get Reese back on her feet. Moving into little chicken barn here. These are our Silkies and our Ayam Cemanis. I actually just built this divider that's gonna go between them, and I thought that it would be fine on its own. It turns out that the Ayam Cemanis are jumpers and flyers, and they just jump over and get into the other pen. So I'm gonna have to take this all the way to the top. Our oldest son Zeke has a thing called Zeke's Beats. He's 14, he's in agricultural clubs at school, FFA, And so he actually raises chickens and sells them, mostly Silkies, but we're also getting into some exotic breeds. So you're going to start doing these Ayam Cemanis. These Ayam Cemanis actually came from Greenfire Farms, which is like one of the best breeders. They are extremely pure. They are as black as it gets, which is what you're looking for to know that they're purebreds. And then, of course, we've got these Silkies. Silkies are a fun little chicken if you've never raised them. This guy is a new one. He looks kind of bad right now. I think he's molting, but he is frizzled. We've got the little showgirl over here, the little white poof on her head. And especially whenever the kids are in school, I end up taking care of the chickens a lot. And I used to hate chickens, to be honest. I wasn't a big chicken fan, but over the last 2 years, I've really started to like them. They're kind of like an ongoing science fair project. You take certain things, put them together, and see what happens. And I really like them. So these are Zeke's chickens, but they're kind of my chickens. All right, moving into the sheep pen. I already fed the sheep earlier this morning, so I'm not going to feed them, which means they're going to yell at me a lot. We really increased the size of our flock this year. We added, let's see here, I guess we added 11 new sheep. Most of them were Babydoll Southdown sheep, and then a couple of them were Harlequins, both of which are miniature breed of sheep. So we're really big on this miniature breed of sheep, both Harlequins and Babydolls, because number one, they're small. Number two, they look great on Instagram. They're really cute little sheep. They have a good temperament. Also, they're easy to handle, and the main reason is because they're really expensive. They're super easy to sell, and they're worth a lot. So when we put our time into these sheep, number one, they're loving and affectionate back, but number two, we really get a good return on them. So we're gonna walk through this little sheep paddock over to where the Ibex are to get out of the sun a little bit. Come on. This is Rupert. You guys have seen some videos about Rupert in the past. He actually came from a farm called Simply Country Ranch, which is just about an hour and a half from us. But the owners, they really liked their sheep, but they had some allergy issues that they had to get rid of them. And so he actually went to my dad's house. We didn't know about it. And then somehow he went through my dad's, and then he ended up back here. So in the winter, obviously, I'll show you the woods over here. Everything is really dead. If you've never seen our videos, it's called Porter Valley Ranch for this reason, because there is our house and there is a cliff right here that drops off about 30, 40 feet straight down into a valley. So hence Porter Valley, it drops off. And there's no vegetation down there. There's not much vegetation down there. So our sheep are what's called dry lotted during the winter, which means we bring them up here. They've got about 1 acre that is all close to the barns, close to the house, so we can keep an eye on them. And what we do for their nutrition is we give them plenty of hay and then also some supplementation through blocks and lick tubs and grain. We don't feed grain every day. We feed grain a couple times a week, and then we let them get their free choice minerals, their lick tubs, their protein blocks, and as much hay as they want. So that's what we do in the winter. It seems to stave off a lot of parasites, worms, things like that, and they stay healthy going through the winter. Also, it helps us to control their body condition. We don't want them to get too fat going into lambing season. We actually had a couple last year that were too fat, too heavy going into lambing season, created a lot of problems. We lost a lot of lambs either before or after birth. So going into lambing season, we are really going to manage their nutrition to make sure that they're healthy, but not overweight, so that lambing is a lot easier. You can see they're all lined up, ready for food, but they're not gonna get any. So this is a good comparison here. This one's a Harlequin. You can see that she has a smooth face. And then this one is a Babydoll. You can see that the face has a little bit more wool on it. Rupert here is also a Babydoll. He's in my shadow, but you can tell they just have a little bit fuzzier faces, more of that little teddy bear look. Now Harlequins are very rare. There's just not a whole lot of them, a couple hundred of them in the world. So in order to increase the numbers, they're actually allowing you to cross them right now with Babydolls just to get the numbers up. So coming in here, like I said earlier, this is the cliff or the valley. This one isn't quite as steep, but you can see it just kind of stair steps down like 5 to 10 feet at a time. But over on this side, right on the other side of that turn, there's just a sheer cliff that drops off and goes down into this river bottom, which in the summer, we will let the animals come down here because there's a lot of grass, a lot of forage and things like that. But in the winter, number one, everything's dead. And number two, there's a lot of predators. So we deer hunt just straight through those woods. And on our deer cameras, we constantly have bobcats and coyotes and things like that that are, you know, probably 100 yards from here, but they, number one, can't get into our fences, and they won't come this close to the house because of Buddy. He keeps them off. So that's what we do during the winter. We keep them all close to the house. But right now, we raise Nubian Ibex also, and we only have 4 on our property. This is Rosie. She's one of our first animals that we had on our farm. She was a twin with a ram or a buck named Rumble, who we had to get rid of. And then we've got Daisy, we've got Lola, and then this is our little ram buck named Isaac. A lot of times I call them rams because I'm used to talking about sheep. It's actually a buck and a doe, and then sheeps are rams and ewes. So you can see Rosie's still a little skittish. She's more gentle than most of these animals, but like Isaac's been here his entire life. I mean, we were around him within 10 minutes of him being born, and he still won't get really closer than this to us. They are just wild animals. They are mountain goats. They are not used to contact with people, and it's just in their nature. So it's pretty interesting to watch them and just see how they're different from sheep. Sheep, for, you know, years and years and years, thousands of years, they have been dependent on humans to keep them safe. Going back into biblical times, you know, the stories about David being a shepherd, and, you know, the sheep need to stay with the shepherd in order to keep them safe from predators and things like that, where goats were their own keeper. If they could get into an open place in a mountain range, they basically would just run from predators, and they view everything as a predator. So if they stay away from everything else that doesn't look like them, then they stay alive. And that kind of continues into what they are now. Obviously there's a lot of domestic goats on farms and stuff like that that you see, but that is not these. These are mountain goats, and so they do not want to be domesticated. They are wild, and they are actually better when you leave them a little bit wild so that they can just be who God made them to be. We're not going to go down here today, but you can kind of see down in the valley how there's just not a lot of green. It's all that brown color, which is just not great when you have livestock. It's really not great when hay prices are through the roof like they are right now. We did a video a couple weeks ago, and we wrote an article for a magazine back in the fall about hay prices and how they were going to be going up. And lo and behold, they did. They went way up. So if you're on a small farm like us and you don't have a lot of land and a lot of room to be able to grow your own hay and harvest your hay, and you have to buy it from other people, then what's happening this year is it's proving to be cost prohibitive for a lot of small farms, which is just terrible to see. But there's also some opportunities in that. We've been able to pick up some sheep this year for lower prices than we normally would, because the farms they're coming off of just don't have the hay. So that's where we got a lot of these sheep. These are some of our new ones, and we picked them up just at a really discounted price because the people couldn't afford the hay bill. So we were able to get them, bring them here, and hopefully we bred them with this little guy whose name is Creole, and hopefully we'll have some cute little babies here in a couple months that we can show you guys. Another big project that we've been doing here on our farm is this whole front yard makeover. So our house used to have a big circle drive, which was just gravel. It basically took up this entire area, and people used it sometimes. It was nice whenever I had a trailer, but for the most part it was just wasted, and it created a lot of sand. So whenever the kids would come in from playing outside, they weren't playing on a yard, they were playing on a big gravel and sand circle. And so they would track all that sand in, and it drove Rachel crazy because we have concrete floors. So we took out the circle drive, we put in all this sod, we leveled all this dirt, we did this little garden thing in the front. Rachel's a huge Linda Vodder fan, which we've got an article come out in magazine where Rachel profiled her. And so she was kind of inspiration for us to add a gardening feature to the front. So that's what that's doing. It is not a fire pit, contrary to what all the contractors keep telling me, but it's not a fire pit. It's gonna be some sort of a gardening thing with a water feature. And then we're really excited just to have grass in our front yard. We have never really had grass. We're up on this hill with a lot of rocks and a lot of sand, and it's basically just been a big gravel and sand pit. So we're excited to have some grass. Our kids can play soccer and stuff on, and they're excited about it too. All right, so I think that's it for today. Appreciate you guys coming out with us on a Farm Friday. We're gonna try to do these more often, just to kind of walk you around the property, show you what we're doing. I'm a talker, I'm a rambler, so this gives me an opportunity just to talk and ramble. Our channel is taking a turn. We're going in more of a journalistic or educational road rather than a vlogging road, but I still like to talk, and I still like to be able to share with you guys what we're doing in a little bit less scripted format. So this is something that we're gonna keep doing. We'll try to do it a couple times a month just to keep you guys up to date on what's going on. But the number one thing that's going on right now is that we are really excited about being a part of something called the Homestead documentary. The Homestead documentary has been going on for about 2 years. It's the brainchild of somebody named Carrie Wilson from the Little Pallet Farmhouse. Her and Rachel connected a few years ago on Instagram, and they've been working together ever since. She has now brought in Homesteaders of America, Melissa K. Norris, and a bunch of other homesteads and farms around the world to be on this documentary. So it is going to launch next week. It actually launches on Monday, and for 5 days, there's a 5-day premiere that you can get in. Our segment is actually gonna be on episode number 5, which comes out next Friday. So we'll be sure and tell you guys about that again when it comes out. But I'm gonna put a link in the description below where you can click the link, you can go and you can sign up for free for the first 5 days, watch those 5 episodes, and then see if it's something that you wanna continue doing. We think it's really valuable. We think it's something that you guys will really enjoy. If you like watching channels like ours, then this is kind of the next evolution of that. It's a chance for you to see what people are doing, how they're homesteading, how they're hobby farming, how they're living a non-traditional life, which is actually a pioneering way of life, which is where we all came from. It's good family fun, and hopefully you can watch that and you can learn from it, and I hope you'll be a part of it. So click the link in the description down below so you can learn about the Homestead documentary, and we'll see you guys on the next video.